didn't know anything about him. But now looking back, I just remember when I was a young child thinking, like, wow, my parents brought me into this world, but how am I going to stay protected? Like, there's an inner sense within us from nature that God gives us. And looking back, I realize now as a believer, I needed to know that there is a God. So for a while, I didn't, up to the age of 27. So from 18 to 27, that was it. That was it. Everything flew off the handle. And then cocaine use turned into heroin use because somebody introduced me to a different drug, and they said, this is much better. You could spend a little bit less than you're spending and try a little both. I got really sick. I said, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna touch that again. But something happened and I just wanted to continue numbing. So I said, all right, I'll give it another shot. I'll try it one more time. After that, it didn't make me sick anymore. It started just numbing voids, emotional pain from the years of abuse that I never talked to with anyone, hiding bruises and working at these clubs and just on the run, hanging out with people that were in hotels, completely out of their mind, like digging through the toilet, thinking that there's remnants of drugs in there, swirling their hand around, people that were out of their mind, like they didn't know, their feet from their head, they didn't know left from right, and neither did I was with them, but I ended up being actually kidnapped in New York City. I lent my car to someone, and he was riding in the car, and he was feeding me angel dust. I was out of my mind. I didn't know how to get back home. He wouldn't let me have my own keys. I think back, and I was hysterically crying about all of the things that I chose, right? We have free will. I chose to hang out with these people. I chose a different alternative type of lifestyle because I thought that was cool, and I got a nice car, and I got a Lexus and picked everyone up, and I thought that the pride of life was the way. I thought I was better because I had this money, but I was really just crumbling on the inside. It was just a facade. It was to fill the void of really the insecurity. So it was the opposite effect. But I told these people I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and get some breakfast for us. And thank God, by the grace of God, they really believed that I was coming back, because I acted like I was coming right back with some breakfast. My heart was racing. I ran out of there so fast and drove back to Long Island. But that wasn't the only time that I felt like I was, I don't want to use the word kidnapped, but technically, like in situations that I couldn't just walk out of once I arrived into these houses. These people were intimidating, they had weapons, they had drugs, they were part of gangs. Anything could have happened. I had to maneuver my way in and out of these places, but stupidly, right? We do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So what happens? I start getting pulled over by the police and charged with possession of the 7th degree, possession of hypodermic instruments, because I started with sniffing, ended up shooting, because that usually happens 3 years later after 18. So by 21, I was using intravenous because a dancer had showed me to use it that way. And 6 bags wasn't enough anymore through the nose all at once. I was out there. When I talk about lost, needed a savior, gone. Like I was, and my family raised me to be totally different. They're, middle class, working, civilized human beings that are just very more conservative than that. The devil has no discretion.
That's right.
We have to have a guard because he comes after the rich kids, he comes after the middle class, poor, black, white, Asian, anything. It doesn't matter what we have, what we don't have, what nationality we are. We're fighting an enemy, a spiritual enemy. And because I love my family, they didn't know how to help me other than just get me into rehabs. So I went to drug court after the possession charge, which my mom advocated for. I was going to get off the hook, but I didn't know. She wrote the judge and said, no, she's not getting off the hook. You need to take her to drug court, so we'll force her into rehab. So I wasn't ready, but I signed my life away on that paper saying I'm going to enter drug court because I was afraid to go to jail. So about 6 rehabs later, by the grace of God, they kept giving me more and more chances. I finally landed in Phoenix House in 2009, and then had an amazing experience there. I'd like to say that was my turning point. Not yet, but that Phoenix House Rehab played a huge role in the recovery and faith situation that happened later on. So anyway, I'm running. You guys are wondering, where's the turnaround? So turnaround was in 2012, after more charges. And I was almost in the hospital from an overdose pretty much every month, I think for 4 months prior. So like a month goes by, I'm in the hospital, a month, hospital, and then I landed myself in Riverhead Correctional Facility where my aunt was praying, because my two aunts, the two sisters of my mom, they are Christian, and my aunt Lucille saw me in a vision, well and healed and whole, when she came to visit, and I was not in that state at all when she came to visit, but God gave her a vision on the airplane. So she started declaring it. She prayed that I would go into jail. My mom didn't want it. God honored her prayer and put me in that place, and that's why I cry today, because even with these minor struggles of daily life, nothing is like worth comparing to just the glory that's going to be revealed to us one day. When we find Jesus and he starts to fill all these voids. I just randomly went to the law library where they had a bunch of books on the shelf that said Story of God. I was drawn. I said, okay, I want to know about this. I want to know about God. All of a sudden, never did before, went to Lutheran church with my dad, and the pastor actually was smoking a cigarette on the side, and I knew that we get strawberry bagels after church. That's as close as I was to knowing God growing up. So, before going to jail, I kept saying to my dad, I want to go to, one of those churches where they do the music. I didn't know what it was even called, like a Christian church, or non-denominational, where they do all that music, like that music, Dad, let's go one day.